Tonight's show is all about being a mompreneur, starting an online business, selling goods. It's going to be lots of fun. We've got culturebaby.com, the founder, on live tonight. Really excited to talk to her because she's going to talk to us about shipping, buying stuff internationally, all those things that I have no clue about, and I'm really excited to learn. So make sure that you stay tuned through the entire 30 minutes. Use the hashtag YFEchat, and of course, check in on the chat to introduce yourself. All right. Thank you so much for watching YFEchat Live. It's a new episode. It's episode 90, only 10 away from 100. I'm so excited. We have to decide what we're going to do for the number 100. It's going to be super fun. I'm your host, Jennifer Dono. You can tweet me at Jennifer Dono. As we get going, make sure that you check in on the hashtag YFEchat and make sure that you tweet your takeaways. I've got the guest Twitter name. I'll make sure that that goes in our lower thirds, and it's also on the YFElive.com website. So tonight's episode 90, is brought to you by Ovaleye TV. Ovaleye believes in building community through shared experiences. We produce professional live webcasts that bring tribes together. And by MailChimp. MailChimp is the best way to design, send, and share email newsletters. You can get started today at MailChimp.com for free. And then, of course, don't forget to sign up for our mailing list at yfe.me/mailed it. I sent out one today, and I absolutely forgot. DearKates.com. Julie, the founder, she gave you guys, I believe it's 25% off. I should really double check that before I say it, but make sure that you check the email over the weekend. I'm really excited, and I'll pull it up and I'll tell you what it is actually halfway through, just to remind you what the discount is. We talked about her for the collaboration GenCast earlier. She's collaborating with Hello Flow, who we also featured on YFEchat. We featured both of them. She's an entrepreneur that I really look up to. I just love the concept of her line too. I love the branding. I love everything about it. So check that out. I'll come back with it in just a second. So something really fun. I want to bring Stacey Harris on, at the Stacey Harris. Let's see if we can bring her on, because she said on Facebook she had a little surprise for us, and I was really excited to see what it was, and I knew it. I knew it was going to be your hair.
It is my hair.
Isn't that fun?
I lost a little bit of it.
A little bit of it. Like you were saying, I can't remember what this morning was because I lost inches and inches.
Yeah. I think it totaled out to like just over a foot worth of hair.
Yay! Isn't that fun?
It's crazy.
It's so fun being a girl.
It is.
So, Stacey, I wanted to thank you for participating. I'm totally looking at the wrong camera. I wanted to thank you for participating in our what's the book called?
Power of Glamour?
The Power of Glamour. You've answered a lot of our questions in the Bootstrap Book Club, so thank you so much. Everyone, make sure that if you haven't yet, we're on question 6, and tomorrow's action item is actually to answer question number 7, because it's our very last question. And after that, Stacey, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask the entire book club to send me in your favorite book. And that's just emailing at j@youngfemaleentrepreneurs.com. You guys can get a head start. And I'm going to pick like the first 15 or so, and then we'll finish out through 2013 with every day we'll share a new book suggestion from a young female entrepreneur. So I'm really excited about that. Stacey, tomorrow you're going to join me for GenCast, right?
It's true, I am.
I'm excited about that.
Not a lie.
It's going to be fun. You're going to talk at me about jab, 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 right hook. And also, we'll just follow up a little bit on tonight's conversation, too.
Cool. One thing I do want to say about book club before you kick me off is that I have not actually read Power of Glamour because I couldn't get my hands on it, and I wanted a real copy, and I delayed ordering it from Amazon. You can totally still participate in the networking and answering the questions, even if you haven't read the books. So like jump in and connect and share your insights either way.
That's a really good tip because it's totally true. People have been doing that, and I think I've been trying to make the questions. I think everyone that's ever hosted it tries to make the questions as broad and possible for people that haven't read the books to get in on it. And of course, the topic is glamour, so it's something that's a little different, something we don't always think about every day. But I think it still applies to your business whether you're in fashion or not. I feel like there is that stigma there that glamour is fashion, but it's not necessarily true.
Especially when so many of us are the center of our brands.
Yeah, and it's funny because she uses the example of glamour as being like Star Wars or Star Trek too. Like that's glamorous to people. So just an example that it's not, like I said, all about fashion and luxury and that fun stuff.
Yep.
So Stacey, we'll bring you back at the very end. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys, where can everyone be tweeting you right now?
I am at the Twitter handle YF Entrepreneur and use the hashtag YFEchat. I am there talking to you, highlighting your insights, all of that good stuff. So chat with me.
Yay! Awesome. Super excited. Thank you so much, Stacey. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about our featured guest. Because like I was saying, CultureBaby.com founder, she actually reached out to me when I was telling people that I was pregnant and said, oh, you know, congratulations, that kind of a thing. But then I looked at her website because her email address was in there. I was like, oh my goodness, this is super cute. That's what I said in my head. I would never say that out loud unless I was, of course, in front of the camera. Anyway, it's a really cute website, and I got looking into it, and I love the story behind it and why she founded it. She's going to tell us more about that in just a moment. But most importantly, I'm totally on like losing all of my tabs now because I'm trying to find the Dear Kate's ad. But most importantly, she travels a little bit. She'll have to elaborate on that a little bit more in just a minute because she's a military spouse, and she loves, this is in her bio, loves seeking out new global products for Culture Baby and hearing from mothers worldwide about how they celebrate culture with their kids. So it's this online boutique where you can go and purchase goods for your little ones. So Natalia, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So in your bio, at the very beginning, it says you put the whole thing down to a fit of postpartum lunacy. So obviously that's not totally the reason why you started this business, is just postpartum lunacy. Some days it probably feels like that. But why did you move from this idea of I want to be able to provide everyone everywhere with a taste of a global type of an environment and move from that idea into an actual website that sells things?
Well, the idea came to me when Xavier was about 5 months old, and I actually I don't know if you guys can see, I brought the little espadrilles that you can see on the website that were given to Xavier when he was 3 months old, and so it just kind of started to gel with me and sink in. And I was kind of at a loose end when Xavier was 5 months. I'd actually been let go from my job when I was 8 months pregnant, and I was I was a little bit confused as to what was next for me. It was very hard to put down roots with any company as a military spouse. And I had always been very interested in intercultural communication and how people learn about the world, especially how kids learn about the world. I'd written a master's thesis on it when I went to school. And then when I looked at these tiny little shoes, it just occurred to me that, you know, every culture has its own way of celebrating its babies. And wouldn't it be wonderful if a multicultural country like the U.S. could have access to some of these products? And so the reason that it was a little nutty was I kind of just dove right in, and I ordered myself 400 pairs of baby espadrilles.
Oh my goodness. So I see where the postpartum lunacy might have fit in.
It was a little crazy go nuts, but it started to work, and people were responding. And I think, you know, in addition to responding to the espadrilles, really responding to the idea that, you know, we're raising the next generation of global citizens, and we want to, from the very beginning, kick it off by making, you know, ethical, smart, and international decisions as to what we buy for them. And then hopefully sharing that love with them too. You know, we're very multicultural people. We're very internationally mobile people, I think, as a country, and we want to pass that on to our kids.
So, I mean, you're saying that you have this mobile lifestyle. What exactly type of travels are we talking about? Now, I read an article recently that maybe it was actually a couple of years old, and it was saying that you were about to go off on somewhere, I believe, in North Africa. So, yeah. Morocco, maybe?
Yeah, we just got back. We were in Morocco from October of last year until September of this year.
And you started your business in 2011.
I did, yes. We were in New York at that point. We had gotten to New York from Japan. When my husband and I were first married, we were stationed in Japan, and then we got back to the States. We were in New York, and then we were actually assigned to Tunis. We were supposed to be in Tunis, but I don't know if anyone remembers. September of last year, it got kind of uncomfortable in Tunis. The embassy was attacked, and so we were evacuated, and we ended up in Morocco for the year.
Oh
So
my goodness. Corey Freeman is saying they're tiny shoes. I know, tiny shoes are just the cutest, right? So now you're doing all this travel and you're starting a business, and when I think of retail, I think of shipping and inventory and just a whole other mess than just creating a product, like online, creating an app or offering a service. So how are you able to work internationally? What type of systems, what types of tools, how do you do that?
absolutely. Well, I have a business partner, and my business partner was the one who was receiving shipments when I was abroad, because trying to deal with the Moroccan postal service is a non-starter. When we deal with certain companies that have logistics in place, often they have a set system and they're happy to continue using that system, and we need to be flexible with them, and we go with that. But under other circumstances, if we're working with a vendor who perhaps has never been in the States before, or is wants to explore new options with us, because perhaps they have been in the States but only via large wholesale shipments, we have a logistics company that we work with, a third-party logistics company, and they make it easier at least, to get the products here in a way that keeps them at an achievable price point for our customers. So,
Well, that's interesting. And I read the book I read the book Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh, and Natalia, the producer's trying to tell you to sit back just a bit so that Sorry, you're like, what's going on?
I'm leaning in. Sheryl Sandberg told me to.
I know, you're doing all the right things. So here's the question that I have. So Delivering Happiness, Tony Hsieh, I always remember this because I love the idea of just starting with small little things. You went ahead and just ordered 400 tiny little pairs of shoes. But Tony Hsieh said that the founder of Zappos actually put the website out there, said, I sell these shoes, and then he would go across the street to a shoe retailer, an in-person shoe store, and buy it at at retail price, and then ship that. And then he got into talking about drop shipping. So is what you were describing, is that technically something, is that drop shipping?
No, well, what we started to do after I did my crazy idea at the beginning, which was just wholesaling and retailing, it really wasn't sustainable, given that we wanted to give people a global selection. And being a small startup business, I couldn't walk across the store and get an espadrille and then walk across another street and get an Irish jumper and walk across another and get a Moroccan camel. That wasn't possible. So what we've ended up doing is kind of working on an individual basis with our different vendors. We try and go mostly for dropship arrangements. So we work with companies who, sometimes have a U.S. representation. The products are being made overseas, but they're represented in the U.S. And so we work with them to drop ship. When we do that, we do lose kind of what we wanted at the beginning, what we were able to do with the espadrilles, which was package them just so, and really brand them in the way we wanted to. But given that our brand really is Culture Baby and this idea of a global selection, then we liked the idea of being able to give different designers, kind of shine a spotlight on them and then give them access to American customers. So we've been drop shipping a lot more with our vendors, but in certain circumstances, especially with people overseas, the drop ship concept just doesn't work. It makes the product either too slow to get there or far too expensive. So we have done some wholesale in addition. What we're hoping to work towards in the coming months, we're going to launch Culture Baby 2.0. We're going to upgrade the website a little bit.
Oh,
We're
nice.
actually going to introduce something like a crowdsourced wholesale model, which is where we'll let people know what we're bringing in. We'll hopefully get them really excited about it, and then let them jump in on the order with us. So if we tell them, hey, we're looking at this new wonderful product that's coming out of Tel Aviv, you guys excited about it? Place a pre-order now, and so then we can go back to the person and say, hey, that wholesale order for 100 units has just now become 150. So
That's just that is crazy to even think about, that you and your partner are buying products internationally. You didn't have a background in retail, just to be totally clear. So you started off.
Would tell you that I did. I was a consummate shopper, but
I don't think that counts when you're dealing with people in Tel Aviv. So speaking of, purchasing in Tel Aviv or Morocco, wherever you are, how do you actually, first of all, find these vendors, and how do you make agreements? Do you both speak the same language? Do you have the same cultural, obviously you won't have the same cultural practices as far as negotiation goes and things like that. How has that worked out?
In so many different ways. People just point you at things. We've, given the life I've led, I've been really fortunate to have kind of a big array of friends. In this past year, very often it was just, somebody would give you something, or you'd see something in a store and you'd be like, this is perfect for Culture Baby. And that was the benefit of being in Morocco. That's how I found the Moroccan booties that you'll find on the site. That's how I came across our vendor at Zid Kids that does the eco poofs. And I even found more vendors when I was traveling that I even didn't have the opportunity, because we were swinging through some places. I didn't have the opportunity to work with them as much as I would have wanted to. But, things just come to it, through Twitter. A lot of vendors have contacted us through Twitter. A lot of vendors have come to us through Facebook. We do attend trade shows when we can, and we find some vendors that way. And other things are just word of mouth. You open yourself up to different possibilities. And as long as you're willing to kind of be flexible. And I suppose if I had one thing coming into this, I had no retail background, but I'd always kind of thought that, my life would prepare me to be a good diplomat. And so you can kind of adjust to people's working relationships and just have a face-to-face. And that those face-to-face communications are very meaningful. And Skype is very useful in that too, because now that I'm States-based again, I can Skype with, I was on Skype the other day with the woman who sources our Colombian sweaters that are new to the site. So,
see, all of this is really breaking stereotypes for me, because I think a number of military spouses do follow YFE, and they tend to offer services and things like that. But I never thought that would be something possible, where you could actually sell goods online and travel in the manner that you do too, where it's internationally and you're moving your family around. You have a small child. And so I think it's very inspiring to see that you wanted to do it and you just found a way to do it, and you worked things out, you researched. So in that spirit, as far as startup costs go, because, you actually have to buy inventory here, right? What does that look like?
Yeah, in some cases we do, and in the beginning I did. But as I say, my initial purchase of espadrilles was like a big chunk of the money I had put aside, and this was all self-financed. So my husband and I looked at it as kind of my do-it-yourself MBA. Like, this was the money, and I was going to make it work.
I love that, your do-it-yourself MBA. That's good. So,
and we said, like, look, if it all falls to pieces, at least I've learned something. And, but it was a hefty chunk of change for us. And the big portion of it went to the initial purchase of inventory. And it occurred to me, very shortly thereafter that, okay, Natalia, that was a little bit naive. Given what you wanted to do ultimately. I just thought that I could sell them a pace to be able to bring on another product right away. And in the world of e-commerce, you got to be presenting something new all the time. So, the money outlay for the inventory at the beginning was what turned me towards drop shipping. And when we drop ship, we simply there's less overhead there, and we're able to simply take a cut of the sale once it's made. In that way, it's been wonderful too, because we're working with so many different entrepreneurs who, what we're hoping to do is, they're working in a very, very niche market, like making Indian block print baby blankets. Well, hopefully what we're offering them is this global marketplace where your block print blanket can be next to an Irish sweater, but in that way, the uniqueness of your product really shines through. And also, hopefully, we're bringing in the audience that's just interested generally in raising global kids and wants to know what's out there. But I'm not sure that answers the question about the money. But
it didn't. So how much, because the only reason why I'm asking this is because I read it online already. I know what type of price point did we look at? In a range did you have to put forward? You say this is your personal savings. What was that?
Yes, that was about $20,000.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't have to just come out with a straight number. You could have just done a range. But thank you.
It was about $20,000.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
But I think that's awesome that you compared it to your personal MBA, because that's exactly what it is. It's real life experience and you're able to get out there and play with it. And I love that you have, like you said, you're going into 2.0. You were able to play with something and see if there's a market out there that's interested in these products. And so now you're able to build on that and make a change too. So, not to get too far into the retail space and bring it back into more of the marketing that everyone can relate to, you've gone after a very competitive market and one that is kind of mysterious to a lot of people, right? This idea of the mommy market, the people that look for their clothes. Like you said, we're raising a global, what exactly did you say? How did you put that?
The next generation of global citizens.
The next generation of global citizens. And so why did you choose to go the kid route versus like Nakate, I think that's how you pronounce it, Shanling Knox? A lot of you in the New York City Wifey NYC will know of who she is. She has done something similar where she's bringing in jewelry from different locations in Africa, I believe, and then wholesaling it and selling it to these high fashion brands and making it a very high fashion type of a piece. So why did you choose the kid route?
Well, I love that stuff. I'm a sucker for all of that stuff. I think it's brilliant. And the reason I went with kids, because that was the initial inspiration. For me, I had been, studying. I did international relations in college, and then I wrote a master's thesis in Georgetown about how we can internationalize elementary school education. I've always been really interested in, where we start teaching people about the rest of the world. Like, this is kind of taking it really far back. When I was 12 was when I moved to the States for the first time. I was born in the UK. And I remember I moved to the States, and a lot of my new classmates were asking me, like, oh, did you live in London? Did you live near the Eiffel Tower? And it was just kind of like weird to me. That's like, how could you, that I was very confused as to how little people in my new country knew about people from my old, and vice versa. My friends in England had a completely skewed idea. I was moving to New York, and they were convinced I was moving to the set of Saved by the Bell, and so, and I was always very intrigued by this idea that at the child level, it's just kind of this misunderstanding, but as we grow, it kind of festers into this like ignorance, suspicion, all the way to hatred thing. And so the real root of what we're trying to do at Culture Baby is engage kids with the world from the very beginning. And if we can do well, we really want to grow it to be Culture Kid. And at Culture Kid, we can actually talk to the kids directly. I want a kid to get as excited about the fact that their t-shirt comes from Kenya as they would be about the fact that their t-shirt has my kid's into Thomas the Train. It is Thomas the Train, like that. Yeah. That gets them as excited, and they can tell you that, oh, my T-shirt is from Kenya, and they speak this language in Kenya, and the capital is Nairobi, and that's what I want to get them excited about, So that was why I started in the kids space, and that's still what really matters to me is introducing this idea that there's so much more out there, and that I want to inspire that curiosity.
In that sense, is there a lot of competitors, other people out there that are doing something similar to you as far as children and international products go?
There is one I admire greatly is the Tea Collection. I don't know if anybody has bought for children from Tea Collection. It's beautiful. I would never tell you not to shop there. It's gorgeous. I shop there myself. What they do is that every season they go out and they get a new country inspiration. So I think this season it was China, and a previous season it was Spain. And so they kind of infuse that culture into their design, and then they design the products themselves, and they had them made. And they're beautiful things. The only difference that we're doing is that we're going to different design sensibilities and straight at the source. So it's not like we go to Spain and then design the products. It's rather we're going to Spanish designers and say, what are you interpreting for children? Like, what is your cultural interpretation of where you live, and how are you presenting it to the next generation? So that's the difference there. And I think there's a few companies out there that are catering, there's a lot, as you were saying, people who bring in jewelry and decor items from abroad, and a few of them have broached the kids space, but I think we're the only ones that are really looking at it insofar as, how can this teach us to share a love of global diversity with our children?
So Ursula Reynolds at UBREN, she's asking about press for your products. So if you go to culturebaby.com, everyone, and you click on press, it says, as seen on The View, talking about the mommy market. That is definitely somewhere that I'm sure a lot of people with products geared towards moms would love to be. So how did you make that happen?
We've had a lot of almost successes and near misses with press. The view space, the view thing was like we were beside ourselves excited. And then it comes to the end of the spot, and we realized that Soleil Moonfry, who was using our baby espadrilles to announce that her third child was going to be a boy.
Oh, I watched that one.
Yeah, she's been a big supporter of ours, and it's wonderful. But she didn't say the company name.
Oh no.
So it came to the end of the spot, and I'm on Twitter furiously going like, the espadrilles are ours, they're ours. You know, People Magazine is tweeting about her gender reveal, and
that was a big deal.
And nobody knew where they were from.
Oh,
so
no.
that was one of our near misses. Another near miss is we actually did get a call from the Today Show to appear on one of their mompreneur segments. Also, as a result of our connection with Soleil Moonfry, and unfortunately,
I watched that one too. But you weren't on there.
They rescheduled us. So fingers crossed, please, everybody. Fingers and toes crossed that they'll reschedule it because we'd love to go on.
Oh, I hope you go on. That's so funny. I don't really. That was the Soleil Moonfry one on the Today Show I know of because Erin Condren was featured on there, and it was all about women on her website. And then the View one, I totally was watching that at the gym, and I remember your shoes too. I remember those shoes. I cannot believe they didn't say who made them. Oh, that's too bad.
I know Barbara Walters was holding him and everything, and I mean, you want to talk about crazy go nuts? I was pulling my hair out.
Oh no! You tell all your family my product's gonna be on the View. And then,
I know.
That
was actually it was a very big surprise. We found out about it when it came on. Like that was it. We had no advance notice. So.
Oh my goodness. Oh, maybe it's a good thing then that she didn't say anything because then your website might have gone down. I mean, let's go ahead and turn lemons into lemonade with that one.
Yes.
So just to finish up stuff, being a mom and one that's a military spouse, so you talked about Culture Baby 2.0 and moving the business into a bigger space. What, as far as your aspirations go, what do you want this to be? Do you see yourself as being that CEO that goes into the office and has a team of people and is fulfilling all over the world, and you have a big warehouse, or do you see this staying as a small lifestyle business?
No, I mean, I when I started the business, it was my hope. I mean, obviously, my husband and I weren't just throwing away that money. You know, it was. I mean, I say that it was my personal MBA, but at the same time, it was an investment in this, and I needed to return said investment. And so I don't necessarily want to move into a big, corporate space or anything, but I certainly am interested in trying out some pop-ups and considering a brick and mortar space, especially in DC where I am now. DC, I think, is a really vibrant community, and I think it really would love to have a space, a store like Culture Baby that could present mothers with, kind of items that, allow them to continue to live a stylish, vibrant cultural life, even with kids. Like it doesn't, just because you're having a baby doesn't mean everything needs to be festooned and pink frillies, that Culture Baby could offer that. And I'd also love it to be a space, which I haven't found in many places here in DC, where a mom could nurse, change, and otherwise, spend time with her baby out in the town. I'd love it to be that. And it would just be wonderful to have a showcase, almost like a little store attached to a small office. I would love to start employing women around the world, other women like me. I'd love to find, internationally mobile spouses. A lot of women these days have husbands that, are the main breadwinner. And when he up and says, "Hey, my big banking job is moving us to Zurich," it's like, well, that's all very exciting, but that's a real career killer for a lot of women. And I would love to be a preferred employer for those kinds of people, where we could get women to scout for us, to correspond for us, to blog for us, and that we could compensate for that them for that. And I would love to be able to have distribution centers so that we could have it be easier to facilitate shipments to different people around the world. Because right now, we're sort of a one-way supply chain, products from elsewhere to the States and then just out to our purchasers, and it's a little harder and a little impractical. For example, when you're having a customer who's ordering in Italy, a product that came from France and then went to America and then back to Italy. It's not eco-friendly either.
No, not exactly.
It's a high carbon footprint. So, there's a certain level to which I want to take it. But I think if getting fired at 8 months pregnant teaches you anything, it's kind of like, corporations have very little soul. And I don't want to run one of those. I want to run a company with heart and really stays true to its mission. So,
well, I feel incredibly inspired after speaking with you. I loved your story. I loved everything about it. And I hate to end on this note, but I really want to know, because you carry Spirit hoods on your website. And so they were featured on Shark Tank over the weekend or on Friday. I say over the weekend because I watched it on Hulu Plus later on. And Mark Cuban was saying something like, oh, that price point is impractical. And people are saying this is a trend, yet you're sold out on your website. So I wanted to know just like the dish behind it as being someone that sells their apparel. Was it something that was popular? Was it something you were proud of carrying? Are you able to tell us any of that?
It was not popular until fairly recently. I can't attribute it directly to their Shark Tank appearance or anything, but we bought them quite a while ago. And they've only just sold out. So no, but I mean, a lot of people. I mean, the price point I thought was decent given the quality of the product, and that's all.
So too.
Yeah, what we're looking for is products that they merit it. I mean, everything about the product says if you really want a product that's looks like that at $14.99, it's going to have to be made at a factory in Bangladesh that you don't want to on there. That's just simply all it is. And we really want to emphasize the provenance of products. We want to emphasize the authenticity of them. We want to be very transparent. And that's what Culture Baby 2.0 is really going to try to do. It's going to sort of really cast the spotlight on the people behind the products and who's making them.
The products are so cute on here. Hopefully everyone will check it out. It's culturebaby.com. And where can everyone find you after this as far as Twitter and Facebook goes so that we can keep in touch and make sure that we know when this new website launches too?
Yeah, absolutely. We're at Culture Baby, at CLTRBABY, not the full one. Somebody in England snatched that up.
I know, I saw that. I was like, bummer.
I get it off her, I know. So yeah, we're at CLTRBABY. I'm on, you can find me on Facebook. It's just at facebook.com/culturebaby. And we're not on Instagram. We should be, but we are on Pinterest. So please do come see us.
You should be on Instagram. I've heard from so many retailers, they put something up on Instagram and it sells.
Yeah.
Silly.
I know.
And plus, I love Instagram. I should just say that I spend a lot of time on Instagram. And so
sometimes
you do whatever you want.
So much bandwidth. We're focusing our energies on Pinterest right now, but you're very right. I know you're very right.
Well, is Pinterest something that I'm totally like rambling here, but is Pinterest something that's effective for you guys?
Yes, very.
Well, that's good to know. So you put something up. Do you just pin like the items that you carry on the website, or do you just get creative with it?
In my experience, if you pin them and you also make sure that you put the price point on there to begin with, that's more effective than not. We had, it doesn't always help with sales, but it does help with traffic. Especially if a blogger pins your products. We had Design Mom pin some of our products, and it definitely helped with traffic.
I haven't even thought about that. Having like prominent people on Pinterest, getting them to pin your products. What makes someone come over to your website and pin items themselves onto their boards? Sorry, I know I should have like wrapped this up a while ago. I have more questions I could be asking you. So Natalia, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Everyone check out culturebaby.com.
I'm so honored. Thank you, you guys.
All right, so we've just been watching Natalia. She's the founder of culturebaby.com. Her and her partner ship items around the world that are purchased from around the world. Wasn't that inspiring? I feel really inspired as far as just what's possible out there, what's to come in the future, how we can make changes, and how we can really change and affect the way that we raise our kids, even in their knowledge of the world around them, and as far as like their clothing goes, just simple things that you probably don't think of on a daily basis. So you've been watching YFE Chat Live. This is episode 90. Make sure that you go to youtube.com/YF Entrepreneur. Subscribe to us over there, and there's a ton of other episodes of YFE Chat. There's also GenCast Live, the daily live webcast that you can watch. Like I was saying earlier today, Stacey Harris at the Stacey Harris is going to be my guest tomorrow. It's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on YFElive.com.